But I want to jump into our current series called Unmasking Monsters. Rawr. I'm shocked no one's done that. Like, that's how we feel inside, right? Because this series isn't about the people, the monsters out there. No, it's about us, the monsters that live inside here. And they come out a lot, right? We all have our inner monsters. And those things affect our relationships, right? And in the past couple of weeks, we've looked at like Frankenstein and our identity. And then we looked at the mummy and how we isolate ourselves. And last week, Brian talked about conflict and the zombie. And I know that hit home for a lot of us, right? And so today, the thing we're going to talk about is something that I personally chose. The werewolf. Do you know that Brian, like he says, here's the series. And I was like, I want that one. You'll find out why later. You'll find out why. But the werewolf, we think of like Teen Wolf, right? Who knows Teen Wolf? Anybody? I will be honest, never watched it, but I think I know about it, right? Or then we have the Twilight series, which, we had two hands up for Twilight. Yes, and for all of you fans with vampires next week, so don't worry, they'll have their moment. And I don't really know a lot about the Twilight series. Let me give you this is like a little tangent. My grandma, when she was alive, she loved to read. She loved like romance novels, and so I bought her the whole Twilight series. And I was like, Grandma, you should read this. And so she's like, okay. She read the entire series in 2 days. Yeah, she loved to read. And I was like, how did you like it? And she was like, there were a lot of vampires. So I don't know about the Twilight series, but one of our protege, Adam, loves Twilight. So I sat down with Adam this week. And I was like, help me understand Twilight. What about the werewolf, Adam? And he's like, okay, so Jacob is a werewolf. And he does not come out from the full moon. It's because of his anger. And I was like, ooh, I did not know that. Tell me more. He would have talked to me all about it. I loved it. It was great. But at the core of the werewolf is a human. Ooh, there he is. Do you feel like the werewolf sometimes? Yeah, I did lots of werewolf research. And I found out that it's not just the full moon, like I said earlier, that a werewolf emerges or transforms. It can be from their emotional state as well. Think that. Like, keep that in the back of your head. So let's look at the process. Want to know about the process of a werewolf? Well, let's walk through it. First is the trigger. So the trigger is the moon or their emotional state, like something happens that causes them to turn. Then physical transformation. This is when the hair comes out and the muscles and like teeth. And it's uncomfortable. They're not a human anymore. They're becoming a werewolf. And then next is the physical changes, the loss of control. It's consuming everything in sight. It's crazy. It doesn't have control over itself. It just goes after everything and everyone. And then next is the reversion back to a human. It starts to turn back. Like, okay, I'm coming back to myself. The emotion or the thing that made me turn, the dawn broke. Twilight reference, the dawn broke. And it's turning back into a human. And then the last thing that happens is it copes and there's recovery because it's dealing with the mess that it made. Because sometimes with werewolves, they don't even know what was happening. They were just the werewolf and it was consuming and attacking everything in sight. Do you know what similarity the werewolf is to the monster inside of us? If any of you were thinking anger, you were correct. Aren't we so much like a werewolf when we get angry? It's crazy, right? I did my research too on anger this week, like the psychological thing, and it's crazy how similar it is to the werewolf. So let's put the werewolf transformation back up here. There's a trigger. Do you know that anger is a secondary emotion? It's not your first emotion. It comes from something else that you're feeling. That's not anger. Oh, it's not that. Go back. We're good. You didn't see that yet. No, it's something else. And sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's like a traumatic experience maybe that happened in the past. But that's not the first thing. When anger is triggered, then there's a psychological change. And the psychological change is in your brain. So we have like our emotional part of our brain, the amygdala in the back. That's all of our emotions. And when we get angry, the thinking brain, the front of our brain stops working. And we start thinking from back here, all the emotions. The emotions are now what's guiding us. That can be scary, right? Then there's a physical transformation. And what I mean by that is you are feeling it. You are feeling uncomfortable because you are angry. And you don't like that feeling. Do we like to feel like that? No, we don't like negative feelings. We want positive feelings. So we try to make those feelings change. And how we try to make those feelings change is if someone made us feel that feeling, they need to feel that feeling. So I'm gonna make you feel that feeling now. So that can come in our words, it can come in our actions, but we wanna give it back because we're trying to get rid of that feeling. And we think that'll make us better. But then we revert back to human. So after we do whatever we did, whether it was a calming process or a retaliating process, we come back into starting to think from our brain up front, and we start to have empathy for others now. Because then, now we're here. We're dealing with whatever happened in that moment. And if we didn't respond in the right way, we're not feeling better, right? Because now we're thinking with our thinking brain, right? And when it comes down to it, we are living with this monster because we have some unresolved hurt. Hurt, we don't want to feel that, right? We don't want to feel that. There's this quote by Frederick Buechner that I think says this best. Of the 7 deadly sins, anger is possibly the most fun. To lick your wounds, to smack your lips over grievances long past, to roll over your tongue the prospect of bitter confrontation still to come, to savor to the last toothsome morsel both the pain you are given and the pain you're giving back. In many ways, it's a feast fit for a king. The chief drawback is that what you are wolfing down is yourself. The skeleton at the feast is you. Ouch. But that's true, right? Last week, Brian talked about conflict. And a lot of that hit home for us. It hit home for me. I even went up to him after and I was like, yeah, Brian, okay, I have conflict. And I should go talk to this person, but I get angry. What do? I'm just gonna make it worse. How do I resolve this when I'm angry at this person? Don't worry, we're gonna talk about that today. Dang it. Now you might have to go, talk with them. But just like the werewolf, anger has made a mess in our relationships, right? Right? And it's done damages in our families. If you take a moment, some of us have grown up where anger was just part of the way we did life in our family, right? I think that's the case for some of us. And I want us to really hold on to that today as we walk through this talk. Are these past hurts? And probably the moment I said that, like past wounds, that thing came up to our brain, right? And we don't know how to fix it. That's the problem. We would fix it if we could, but we don't know how. No, I just wake up with anger. It's just who I am. I'm just an angry person. Or this is what it was in my family, and this is what we do, and nothing can change. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that we have a God who legit gets what we're going through. I believe he sees that anger, and he's like, no, I don't think you need to be transformed into this angry person. I believe you can be transformed into this creation that I meant you for. And yes, I know all of this bad stuff has happened to you, and you have these past wounds, and you don't know how to get out of them. But I'm telling you, if you submit to me, I can help you heal from that. So he doesn't just fix, he transforms. And so I think we need to start with anger, with asking this question. Is anger okay to have? Is anger a sin? Like, shouldn't we not get angry? I think that's a bad thing, right? We shouldn't get angry. Well, let's look at Psalm 4. Psalm 4 says, be angry and do not sin. On your bed, reflect in your heart and be still. It says to be angry. Angry is actually okay. Did you know that? What? We can be angry? Oh, we're happy now. Yes. Okay. I can be angry. The Bible says I can be angry, but it's what we do with our anger. That's what becomes a sin, right? So the NIV translation actually says this: tremble, tremble, feel it. The Bible tells us to feel our anger. You need to sit with the uncomfortableness. You need to sit and say, I'm angry. Why am I angry? But normally we don't want to do that because we want to feel the happy things. And so we want to feel uncomfortable, but we don't like it. Our brain tells us to fight. To make us feel happy, like in that process, our brain says, no, to feel better, you need to, that person who hurt you, which by the way, justifiably, probably, like you're justified in your hurt. But you feel, for me to fix that hurt, I need to let them have it. Yes, she's laughing because we all do it, right? I've justifiably felt like, yes, I think I am in God's name letting you know this is, you need to feel this. And it's not just yelling. Like when we think anger, we think yelling. Oh, we have those passive aggressive comments, right? Anger doesn't have to look like shouting. Anger could be looking at someone and walking right past them. Anger takes on many forms. So I want us to look at anger and what Jesus does with anger. And that's why I think anger, if we look at this, anger is not meant to be felt, is meant to be felt, but not lived in. What does that look like? To feel it, but not live in it. Because like I said earlier, we have these things from our past, and I think it is controlling our life right now. We're letting this monster control how we respond to people. We're letting this monster control who God's wanting us to be. And we didn't feel it because we didn't feel it. We lived in it, and we're currently living in it. So Jesus shows us a different way, and I want us to look at that today. And I didn't say, like, Jesus tells us. Jesus shows us. So let's look in Matthew. Let's see how he responded. There we go. Matthew 16. It says, the Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus and tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. He replied, when evening comes, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, today it will be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah. Jesus then left them and went away. So Jesus got perturbed a lot, and the people who made him angry were the Pharisees and Sadducees. These were church people. Church people telling Jesus how they think he should do it. Does that sound similar? Do we kind of tell Jesus how we think he should do it in our lives? Just a little bit. I do. And in this situation, what Jesus does is they come at him, and look at this statement above. A wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign. He doesn't say, you are a wicked and adulterous. No, he just makes a comment. These types of people look for signs. But then what does he do at the end? He left them and went away. Jesus took space. Do you remember? I forget this sometimes. Jesus is 100% God, but he is also 100% human. That thing that happens in our brains with our emotions, the front of the brain not working, that was happening in Jesus. He felt it just like us. He had to live it out, and he did. He walked away. How many times do we wish we would have just walked away? Let's look at one more example of what Jesus did in Mark. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." Then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save a life or to kill?" But they remained silent. He looked around at them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Right here, looked around them in anger. Jesus was angry. And you can tell because it says he's deeply distressed. His anger is coming from stress. But what does he do in his anger? He asks them questions. He doesn't state things, but asks things. And what does he also do? He completely restores and he heals somebody. How the heck can anger heal? Well, let's look at this list. Jesus felt it. He asked questions. He took space and he healed. What does that look like for us? Let's look at the Psalms passage again that we read earlier. Be angry and do not sin. On your bed, reflect in your heart and be still. Offer sacrifices in righteousness and trust in the Lord. Be angry. Feel it. Sit with it. Sit with the hard thing. Reflect. Ask God questions. What's going on, God? What's happening inside me right now? It's not the dishes. Be still. Take space. This is not a rushed process. One thing I've learned about in my journey with Jesus is that we normally have to slow ourselves down to see what he's doing. And we don't want to slow down. We don't want to feel pain. We want to rush and feel good. And if we look at our world, what is that right now? So we are pushing against a society that doesn't say that. It's hard. So then what's going to help us? Trusting in him. Because only he can heal it. And his process doesn't look like our process. Our healing may take days, it may take weeks, years, till the day we die. We don't know the process, but he does, and he wants to use it. Proverbs 3:5-6 says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." The question is, are you willing to submit to God's Spirit? To let him heal it in his timing and in his process. Because this is the thing, there's a struggle for leadership in our lives. It's saying, I'm going to do it how I think it's best, or I'm going to submit to you, God, and say, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to trust in you. Because look what this says. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Your brain does crazy things. Our human body even fights back. And he's saying, you need my Spirit to help you. You need my Spirit to help you. Brené Brown has an amazing quote that speaks into this. It says, anger is a catalyst Holding on to it will make us exhausted and sick. Internalizing anger will take away our joy and our spirit. Externalizing anger will make us less effective in our attempts to create change and forge connection. It's an emotion that we need to transform into something life-giving. Courage, love, change, compassion, justice. Or sometimes anger can mask a far more difficult emotion like grief, regret, or shame. And we need to use it to dig into what we're really feeling. Either way, anger is a powerful catalyst, but a life-sucking companion. Anger can transform us for the good or for the bad. It's who we choose to give our anger to. I was at this crossroads a year ago. A little over a year ago, I was angry. You could ask anyone I did life with. And it came out in weird ways because when these things happened, I assumed it was somebody else. That's who was making me angry. So like I would be in a meeting, a pastoral meeting. Oh, you get the ins and outs now. In a pastoral meeting, and something would trigger me. And I could not control myself. I wouldn't start yelling, but it was very, the guys were like, something's going on with Alicia. See, they're all laughing because they were all there. And they would just look at me like this. They're like, Alicia, are you okay? And I'm like, no, and this is why. So I was feeling it, but I was also letting them know, it's you. You make me feel this way. You said this. Okay, and they were gracious, so gracious. I would go home. I would do the dishes. And my husband would say something, and it's like, ugh, like we are always fighting. And I'm like, it's him. I used to be happy. Like, I was joyful and happy. I never got angry, and then I got married. It's his fault. I used to be amazing. It's true. This is how I felt. But then my kids started to say stuff, and they're like, Mom, you are always yelling and angry. And I was like, shut it. I did not say that, and if I did, I apologize, I promise. In my anger, I sinned, and I, went around. But I was feeling it. And so the church, every 5 years, gives the pastoral team a sabbatical. They're just saying, hey, go rest. Because, like I said, we walk through life with people and hold a lot of things, and it's like the sabbatical is meant for you to be reminded that God loves you outside of what you do. Like, just be you and go outside of your work. So I got to go have a sabbatical, and it was great. It was freeing. But in a sabbatical, you're resting. You're being still. And things started to rise to the surface. And it came to a head at a Dodger game. I'm a Dodger fan. Are you feeling anger? How are you going to do with it? How are you going to do with it? And at that game, my husband and I were at each other. And it sucked. You want to know why? We were sitting right behind the first row behind the Dodger dugout. Oh, yeah. I got to go in the area with all the cool people, the famous people where they eat. You know there's an area where they eat? I got to go eat with them. And I was like this the whole time. But my joy was stolen because of my anger. I remember this situation as not a positive one. That was meant to be positive. After that game, I went away for 3 days. I'd already planned this, to go away by myself and just sit with God and journal and just really start digging into what was happening. I started seeing these things rising. And through my just like meditation with him, I felt God calling me to call my therapist, who I hadn't seen in years. And the last time I saw her was in the middle of COVID, and I didn't like this. I like to be in person. I was like, I'm not going to therapy anywhere. It's not helpful. And I was like, I texted her and she responded within seconds. And I said, hey, can we meet? And thinking it's gonna be over the phone. And she's like, yeah, in person? And I was like, yeah. I was like, can you meet like in 3 days? She's like, yes. And we met. And I told her what was happening. I said, I'm having these bouts. Look, it's because of this person. She's like, oh, Alicia. My therapist, by the way, gives it to me straight. She doesn't say, oh, I'm sorry, this is what you're, no. She's like, no, it's you. Hi, it's you, the problem's you. Hi, it's me, the problem's me. Taylor Swift, whatever. And she's like, you know what's happening is little Alicia. Little Alicia, and not just little Alicia, all these things that have happened to Alicia where she got hurt haven't been dealt with. And so you can't respond with adult Alicia. You're responding with little Alicia. You haven't felt it. You didn't feel the pain because I was someone that if someone hurt me, I would forgive right away and I'd say, oh, it's all okay. I'd never felt it. I didn't feel the brokenness that was happening inside of me. So I went home that day and I started to feel it. I started writing down all the ways I had been hurt growing up. And not just when I was little, as an adult. And where I just let it go. I just let it go. And I was angry, but the anger subsided and I was grieving. I was grieving what happened to me because I had never truly grieved it. My husband came outside. He's like, hey, how are you doing? And I said, okay, I need to be very clear right now. I can't have you near me the next couple days because I'm grieving and I'm mad and I need to feel it. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. And I've got to feel it. And that lasted for 3 days straight. I was at that level. And I was like, is this ever going to leave? I want to feel good again. And it got better and it started to subside. But I didn't control the process. I let God control the process of my grieving. And that was really, really hard. Because internally, I wanted to be like 1 Corinthians 13, which says this. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And those highlighted things are what I wanted really bad. And I knew that if I didn't just sit and feel it, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. I wanted those around me to experience love from me. What do you want? What do you want to experience? I mean, it comes down to your choice. You get to choose it. Do you want to hold on to these things from long past? Do you want it to just live with that the rest of your life? Or are you willing to feel it and trust God that that feeling and that uncomfortableness will eventually subside into joy? It's your choice in the end. But I thought about this as I was writing this message, like looking at this room going, what if every single one of us chose it? There's about 400 of us in here right now. How could that affect just one person in our life? And if they saw that transformation, who would they see? We have a choice to extend who Jesus is to others through what we've dealt with, through our hurt, through our pain, through our anger. What would driving through Folsom look like? Someone cuts you off. I'm nodding. I'm feeling it. Yes, you should not have done that. I'm taking space. Take a breath. God, show me, what does this mean by this person cutting me off? And I keep driving. I had a moment like this recently. I almost went to the World Series on Friday. Oh yeah, let's get into it, people. Like I said, we are big Dodgers fans. The series right before this to win the pennant, we were watching a game, and we knew someone in our life that had 4 tickets to see the World Series game 1. And they told us, hey, if my wife goes, maybe you two can go, like 2 couples. So I'm like, yes, she'll totally go. This is happening. So me and who I am and my personality just started telling everybody, hey, I might be going to the World Series game. Hey, I should have not done that. Telling everybody. And then Monday comes, and my husband texts this person, Alicia and I are in, we'll pay the money, we are there, all this stuff. Okay, the response was, we'll talk in the morning. Yeah. So then my husband calls me at lunch on Monday, and everyone on staff knew. They're like, Alicia, aren't you going to the World Series? I was like, oh, it might not happen now. And they're like, oh. So I was like, if I'm not in a happy state at noon, you don't need to talk to me at that point, okay? So then I get the phone call, and my husband goes, so it doesn't look like he's taking his wife. And and I was like, that's fine. My whole life is around men. I'm the only woman in a lot of rooms. I'll be the only girl, whoever else he wants to take, all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I don't think they're wanting that. And I was like, did he say that? And here's me, did he say that? Why can't you just ask the question? I think he's hinting, Alicia. Okay. So I said, okay. And I'm like, oh, I'm speaking on anger this week. What do I do? This is going on in the back of my mind as this is happening. And then I go, Ryan, which is my husband, not Ryan Reed, Ryan Wilson. I said, Ryan, I want to be very clear. I am not mad at you, but I'm sad. I'm sad because I have FOMO. I'm sad because I wasn't chosen. I'm just sad. He's like, I know, babe, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's okay. I'm so excited for you, though, because my husband's been a Dodger fan since the day he was born. We have a Dodger flag outside of our home. That kind of level. So I honestly was happy for him. So I hung up the phone going, I felt it. I should feel good now. I was nice to my husband. I said nice things. Nope. I went into that bathroom back there and cried. I legit cried. And I said, God, search my heart. What's going on? Like, why am I crying about this? And then, it dug a little deeper. It was like, I'm not chosen, and I haven't been chosen because I'm a girl sometimes. There's some deep stuff there. The last time I was at a Dodger game, my husband and I were in a huge fight, and I thought this would be a reconciling of that, and I wanted a good moment with him at a Dodger game. I'm not getting that. See, why am I crying? But that's what's actually going on. I'm not angry. So, like any person who is feeling it, I went into my office and I'm like, work on the sermon. I'm feeling all of the things. Nope. You know what I did? I had to screw something in a wall, and I'm like, I'm gonna screw something in a wall. So I went to Norris in the garage. I'm like, I've got your screwdriver, or whatever, what's it called, Norris, a drill. And I got a drill, and I had these little, just really tiny screws, and I'm just trying to put them in. Jen Becker walks in, she's like, how are you feeling? I was like, I'm feeling anger, and the screw kept falling. It's like, I'm done. It subsided. I drove home. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. When I see Ryan, it's gonna be good. So I walk in, and my husband so empathetically is like, come here, give me a hug. And I went, no, not yet, and watched. Right by him. I was feeling it. Didn't subside yet. And I came back, and he's like, come sit next to me. And I was like, no, who's going? Does he know who's going yet? Does he know who's going? Did you find your ticket yet? Are you flying yet? And he's like, come here. He was so empathetic and loving towards me. And he's like, what's really going on? And of course, at first I said nothing. And then I said, I'm just sad. I'm sad. I want to be there with you. We've been watching these games together. I'm sad. And he's like, I totally get it. You know what's crazy is the next morning, I was completely fine. I honestly was so excited for my husband. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't mad when they hit a grand slam in the 10th inning and won the game. I wasn't mad. I was happy. Did I feel it a little bit? Totally felt it. But that's what I'm saying, you guys, is it's gonna be a daily thing that we choose. And it would have sucked with that whole situation that happened at the game, and I couldn't be happy for my husband. That would have sucked life from him, sucked life from me. So what is that gonna look like for us? In a couple weeks, something's gonna happen. People are gonna vote for people. And a lot of us aren't gonna like whatever happens. Most of us don't like what's happening now. But we're going to feel anger. It will happen. You're not in touch with your feelings if you don't think you're not going to feel that. But you will feel it. And how are you going to respond? Because everyone's watching, your family, those around you, and how you respond will show someone who's being transformed by Christ, or they're letting anger transform them in the negative. What are you gonna choose? When the monster presents itself, will you feel it, or will you live with it? I'm gonna invite the band up. We're gonna sing a song. And this song is great. It's called My Hallelujah. And I just have to say this. When they told me this song, I was like, this is perfect for Werewolf. My Hallelujah. I mean, how could you not? They kept saying, are you going to say this in the gathering? I was like, I'm going to try. I mean, how could you not do that? That's not why I like the song. It's not why I like the song. I want you to look at these lyrics. This is the first verse. Peace, be still. Calm this soul. I need you here now. Restore my hope. Isn't this our process? That's our process. And then the chorus goes on to say, what can take away my hallelujah? No darkness can contain my hallelujah. Your cross has made a way for my hallelujah. Jesus does not want your hallelujahs to be taken from you. He doesn't. So when we're feeling our pain, we think that, but he's like, no. I went to the cross and I died on the cross. So you know that your God is drawing near to you in your anger and your pain. He gets it. And some of these things that have happened to us that were not okay, he sees that. And he's a God of justice. He will take care of it. We don't need to. We can trust he will take care of those things that were not right that happened to us. I believe that. But he wants you to live that full life. He wants you to sing that hallelujah with all you are, with all he created you to be, and say, yes, yes, child, go live, go feel joy in this broken world, in the brokenness, in the way that you've been broken by life. I want to show you I can heal you. You can feel life again. This thing or this person that sucked this from you in some way that made you broken inside, I can heal. But you've got to let me. You've got to let me. So I want us to close our eyes. Take a moment. Where do you need to feel it right now? What do you need to feel? And it just starts. Let's just pray and ask God to just take that first step. It's a journey. Jesus, we come to you. And we thank you. Jesus, I am so grateful that you honestly understand what we walk through. Like, you understand the things that happen in our brains. You have felt anger. You understand how hard it is. And I'm so grateful that you went and felt it on that cross because you knew the joy that would come from that. Thank you for feeling it for us. We ask for your help in whatever that looks like in our lives, God, that we would be still enough to let you lead, that nothing could take away our hallelujahs, Jesus. We love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Let's stand together and let's worship him.